Happy Sunday to everybody. I hope you all had a great weekend and are ready for this week's review. So this week we're going to be discussing Monday, November 11th to Friday, November 15th for that week. A couple of items on the economic calendar you want to be aware of. Keep in mind it is obviously Remembrance Day. Pardon me. So there are a couple of banks that are closed. Obviously, European banks are closed. French banks are closed. Canadian banks are closed, and the U.S. banks are closed as well too. So just keep that in mind going into trading. It might be a little slower than usual, in terms of price direction. But I think we're going to get a little bit of erosion from the price. From the levels that price put in last week. So nonetheless, I think it's not going to be a blockbuster day going into Monday, but we'll have to wait and see. But just keep that in mind. There are some major bank holidays going on, so keep that at the forefront of your trading decisions. We have some prelim GDP numbers on the pound sterling early Monday morning. This kick off the week. Going into Tuesday, fairly low impact events happening throughout the day. Some GBP numbers, some Euro numbers, and the FOMC member speaking at 6:30 a.m. New York time. And then we have some Australian dollar news to wrap up the day. Wage index, some high impact news events for Australian dollars. So if you are trading the Aussie this week, just keep that one in mind. And again, keep it in mind for Wednesday as well. There's employment change and unemployment rates. So this is going to probably move the markets a little bit for the Australian dollar. So please keep that in mind. Apart from that, though, Wednesday should be business as usual. CPI news for both the pound and the U.S. dollar, and then we have Fed Chair Powell testifying at 12 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. And then going into Thursday, we have Euro, Pound, U.S. dollar, U.S. dollar, U.S. dollar. A whole bunch of stuff, and crude oil inventories are on Thursday, of course, because Monday holiday. So a couple of high impact news events there. Again, Fed Powell testifying. I don't know that this is going to do anything to the markets unless he decides to drop a landmine, bombshell announcement or something, which I don't see that happening, but this should be business as usual. And then going into Friday, we have core retail sales for the U.S. dollar and retail sales minutes for the U.S. dollar at 9:30 a.m. So again, all in all, nothing too crazy. Keep in mind Monday, obviously the holidays, but Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday should be regular trading with the with the regular liquidity injections for the high impact news events that you should be aware of. Okay, so that's the economic dollar for the week. Let's see what is happening in the markets. So last week, obviously, we had a nice big push up. Now, I mentioned to you, if you'll recall from the recording, I didn't really want to see price push all the way up above the highs in here. I did want to see some rejection, but I did nonetheless mention that we were going to see price run higher in the week, and I ultimately wanted to see them come down and sweep these lows here. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to keep going, so that's why you have those areas that you mark in, again, your quote-unquote lines in the sand, where you would switch your directional bias if above that line or below that line. And we obviously had a clear violation of the level that I was looking at, which was 98, about 98.05, I believe it was, on the high side. So it was pretty much above, just above the high on Thursday that was set in here. So I didn't want to see price go above that. It did, so now we got to switch our gears and look to higher targets for the U.S. dollar, which is obviously very important for your foreign currency cross pairs. But what I think we might get is a little bit of a pullback. As I mentioned while I was discussing the economic calendars, because we got these bank holidays happening tomorrow, we could see softer price in the U.S. dollar, and it could erode a little bit. So I want to just see exactly how deep it wants to erode. Now, I'm just going to drop down quickly to an hour, and then I will, hour time frame, and I'll switch back to a daily. to get the ultimate targets. But I think I think there's a very good chance we could come down, and I'm looking at two levels here. I'm looking at this level in here at 98.05 again to about 98.10, and I'm looking at the lows. You see all these equal lows right under here. There's a very good chance that they could want to come and run down for those lows there, and that comes in at 97, about 97.90 on the low end. Yeah, I could see them coming down to there. I don't believe we're going to run back into this area in price, but I think there could be a chance we could sweep below these lows. And they're starting to come off of it now. It's Sunday's open. It's Sunday at the time of this recording, of course. And you can see the open. We're starting to fall off a little bit here. So I'm looking for further continuation to the downside and hoping that they're going to sweep these lows. And then I would look at them stabilizing price somewhere in this neck of the woods, around that 97.90, maybe 97.80, depending if they really want to get it down there. But I wouldn't expect them, as long as we're going to continue the higher theme on the dollar, to go much lower than that. And again, going back to the daily, that brings us back, if we do get that erosion on price, that 97.90 level brings us right back, and you see these old highs, this wick here, that wick there, and all these candles in and around here, and all the time that price spent in here. That's why I think we could come back and retag those levels again. So ultimately, I mean, this was a pretty aggressive push. We didn't see the rebound or the rejection that I was looking for at this level in here. So again, if it starts to break your level and your threshold of bullish versus bearish bias, then you have to switch gears. So that's what we're going to be doing going into this week. And I believe there's a real good chance we could get above this level in here. So I'm personally looking for price to rebalance up to about the, well, that's a little large. Let me dial that back a little bit. I'm looking for price to rebalance back up to at least the 98.50 level. I think there's a very good chance. So if we get a run back down below the low on Friday and a rebalance off of these levels here down to 97.85 or so, that would be a nice upside 65 pip range for the US dollar for next week. So that's what I would be looking for as a target. Now, could it go higher than 98.50? Absolutely. We could really make a run for these highs this week. I don't foresee that happening. But I think possibly by the end of the year, if they don't reject at this 98.50 level or 98.60, somewhere, you know, in this region of price in here, then we'll probably see a new high for the US dollar before the end of the year. So, you know, again, we could come up to 98.50 and roll back down and come back and rebalance, and price could just kind of go sideways, sort of, you know, how it's been going in here, where we have a nice big push up and then a big deep retracement, price goes sideways, and a big push up and a deep retracement, price goes sideways. We could see that again, big push up into here, you know, a nice retracement and price goes sideways, and just sort of stair stepping, as you can, you know, level 1 the staircase, level 2, level 3, level 4, right, and on and on and on. That's exactly what we could see going in here. Okay. Now we could have a nice symmetrical price run as well too, which would put us up into the weekly candles, right back into this range in the weekly candles as well, if we get another big symmetrical push, like I was just looking at there. So I'm going to be watching for that as well too, going forward. I don't think they're going to do that until next year if they really want to get bullish. Also keep in mind though, this is very important. So the US dollar, the Federal Reserve had come out and basically state that, and they're not calling it quantitative easing. They've basically picked a new name for it. But ultimately, you guys need to be aware, the Feds are injecting, and I'm talking about the US dollar in particular. There's a couple other currencies around the globe, i.e. the euro and the yen, that are also following suit to this. They are injecting a ton of money into their markets. They're buying bonds, they're buying treasuries, they're inflating it and pushing it into the stock market. So just keep that in mind. We are probably going to see all-time new highs in the S&P, which we're already seeing. I'll go put that in here right now. You can see we made all-time new highs in the S&P 500. The Dow and the NASDAQ are the exact same, no difference there. So, and they're pushing money into these markets. Now, I don't know how long they can sustain that for, without the market falling apart or without the underlying currency getting devalued. But they're doing it nonetheless, and you can see price is still continuing to go up. But all I'm trying to say by bringing that up is that they're building this foundation on a house of stilts, essentially, and it will collapse on them. When is it going to collapse? I don't know. Is it going to happen this year? Is it going to happen next year? Is it going to happen 5 years from now? I don't know. I hope it's further down the road, but it will go down. And so this dollar, US dollar, running all the way, up into here, I mean, it may not get up there. I'm just putting that on the charts just because there's a there's a gap in price right in here and we know gaps get traded back up to, that they could want to come back up to. So, and then maybe they'll reject, and that's when you could see the dollar start to fall off. But they are, I bring it up, like I say, again, they are artificially propping up the market. They're injecting more liquidity into it, and that, by doing that, printing more money, essentially, I mean, it just devalues the dollar, but that's obviously having the opposite effect here, as you can see in this latest run in price. Now, I think we will probably run up to the 98.50 level, maybe 98.60 or higher. I don't know what's going to happen then. We'll worry about price when it gets up to there, if it looks like it's going to be bullish and run up into here, or it's going to reject and then go lower. I think they're probably going to take out these highs here, but we'll save that for when it comes up. Okay, but I just want to make you aware of that. Okay, just in case you don't follow the news too closely. The euro USD. So again, if we're expecting higher prices in the dollar, we're expecting lower prices in the euro. Very, very simply on this one, and I'll zoom in. I was hoping we'd have targets up into here, that we were going to see bullish price on the euro, but obviously last week killed those dreams. So we have to refocus, reshift, and look for lower targets, of course. And so here we are in this price range. We've gone below this little consolidation area in here, very bearish. Again, if we kind of follow suit on what the US dollar is doing, I'd like to see them run the highs from last Friday back up into this location and then run back down. So I'm going to put this up in here and see if we can get something to this effect for this week. Price may not get above there. Again, we may not get higher than the mid-range of Friday's price action. So just keep that in mind. But if it does, I wouldn't be looking for them to go any higher than this level in here. We've got a lot of resistance up in this area, and there's a lot of reasons for this thing to go lower. And I think by the end of this week, again, if we can kind of pick a bit of a target, I'd be looking for them to return back down to this green area, which would be about 109.80 on the downside. And we're currently trading at 110.20. So if we see a bit of a rejection and a run higher to 110.60, that would obviously just be a nice 80 to 100 pips lower if we can get that for the week. I wouldn't be pushing euro too much. Again, bank holiday tomorrow, so you got to keep that in mind on the euro. But I think easily on the week. And, there's really, honestly, no reason, if price really wants to start to decay, that we couldn't get under these equal lows back down here, at least for a wick. Price come down. I don't know if they're going to continue lower and we're going to get under this low here or not. But certainly I'd be looking for them to just at least wick down into there. And again, we're not too far away. From current price levels, that's only, again, 80, 90, maybe 100 pips from that area. So price could easily do that in a day. I think it would probably take a couple more days for euro. Obviously, the average daily range for the euro is around that 60, 65 pips or so. So that could take them a couple of days to get down, especially if you get a bit of a retracement going into the earlier parts of the week. Okay, so that's it on euro. And again, right, one more time, lines in the sand. So let's have a look at that. If price trades back up above this line here, so these lows of these candles in here, and it closes up into here, I'm not talking a wick, like price could come up in here and could just quickly wick above that. If price closes above there, I think that's, maybe this was just a stop run or something, and but they could want to come back up for these highs. So that's my line in the sand. If price comes all the way back in here and closes above there, then we can target areas up into here or up into here. But if we get a failure in there, I'll be looking at lower lows for the end of the week. Okay. Cable. We had some interest rate decisions on the cable last week. They kept rates the same, so nothing serious, but all it really did was just push price lower. And I had this level on the charts. I believe you guys all saw that. They were going to run these lows in here. They did that. It was stunning fashion. I was hoping again we were going to get lower price on the dollar, which would have propped the cable up, and we didn't see that. We just saw price fall off. So as you can see, price steadily eroded all week long. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all straight down days. We took out the lows and just took out this brief low right here. So I think there's a pretty good cause for this to want to trade back down to this level in here, at least 126.20s. I believe that could be on the menu, and that's about 160 pips away, so nice range for cable to get down there. I believe that's where the intended direction is going to be on the week. Ultimately, if they really want to drop this price down and fast, you can see how fast they moved all the way up here. Maybe they'll rebalance just as fast. I don't think that's going to be the case. You know, I think we'll probably see price fall off into this area in here where price kind of hesitated a little bit. For sure, I think we'll see that this week. How fast they want to get down there is another question. Does it take them 3 or 4 days to do it? Do they do it really quickly with a couple of days, big down days, and then get down there? And then when we get there, what's price looking like? Are we closing below these areas in here? Is price slicing through and then rejecting? Like this candle here, and then we may make a move higher. You know, we'll have to worry about that when it comes to it, but I definitely think that a nice 140 pip target on the week for cable would suffice. So that's sort of what I'm looking at here. Now, again, where do we come up to? Do we reject and again, retrace would be the better word, starting this week and then roll over, or does price just start falling off from here? Just keep in mind there are obviously some equal highs up here that they may want to come back up into. So I will be watching this area in price to see if they want to come back up in here. If they do, I would not expect them to get all the way back above here. And so my line in the sand on cable, and I'll just maybe do a price tag because that's easier. So my line in the sand on cable, everything below 128.60, I believe we're going to be bearish, and we'll probably be looking for 126.20s. Anything above 128.60, and I believe we could then re-challenge these highs up in here. I think that if we have again bullish US dollar, we'll have bearish cable and bearish Euro USD as well too. Okay, so that's what I'm looking. I think we could have a brief pop above here. I'm looking to see if it wants to poke its head up in here and then reject and then fall off. So that's what I'm looking at for the week on Euro, cable, US dollar. Euro GBP isn't too much help. We're still in this big deep consolidation here, so while this continues, we'll have to save this pair for some analysis after they get out of this range in here, but they're going to continue to manipulate Euro and cable while they're moving this thing sideways. US dollar had a very nice run last week, and you can see price ripped down in here once, cleared these lows, and rejected very, very strongly. Looking for more upside on US CAD. 13300 I think would be a very easy stretch for US CAD. I don't think that's going to be hard for them to achieve. We're at 132.30 right now, so about 70 pips higher. When we get all the way up into here, though, that's what I'll be interested in seeing, if they want to continue and get above these highs here, or if we reject and go lower. So we'll have to wait until price gets up there, but I think that's an easy target for the week on US CAD. And we'll see sort of how price is reacting with US dollar, because that should take us up into this range in here on US dollar, and then we'll see what US CAD's doing. If we see some strength on US CAD, then we could probably target up here, but we'll worry about that later. And again, my members, obviously, of F45trading.com in our chat room, we'll be talking about that daily, see if we can get price up there. what's happening when it's doing it, and good places to buy or to sell. So again, if you are interested in anything like that in our chat room or members group, please go to f45trading.com or send me an email, or whatever you want to do to get a hold of me, and I can give you all the options there if you so choose. Okay. Finally, last foreign currency, we have Australian dollar. I mentioned Australian dollar. We had some equal lows down here that we were looking at running. I was hoping we would have had price again run above these highs for last week, but I was wrong on the directional bias. So we saw price fall off and head lower, looking at those lows here, and that came in last Wednesday of last week. So we got those lows there. A very brief rejection up into here. Now price is just going straight sideways. So we've got some Australian dollar news going into Monday and into Tuesday that you need to be aware of. I think, again, if we have continued strength in the US dollar, we should see Australian dollar probably erode below these lows here. So I'm going to be watching this area on the chart. Again, do we come all the way back up in here and retrace and then go lower? Or do we just start going lower from there? I'll leave that up for you guys and for my members to watch. But I think we're going to see, again, lower prices on Australian dollar going into this week as well too. Okay, and finally, well, I'll talk about crude oil really quickly. Crude oil, obviously, you all know my bias. It hasn't changed. I'm still looking at lower prices for crude oil. I'm still looking at them to run down here. It's not looking too good for crude oil either, geopolitically. You know, there's a lot of instability right now going on all over the place, and it's not boding too well. They had a decent retracement higher since early October. You know, we've gone up a couple of bucks, $5 on crude oil. But I'm not expecting this thing to extend all the way up and start shooting up to 65. So I think we're going to see high 49 before we see 65. Let's put it that way. And you can see what price did last week. Just sort of an ugly range last week. It was taking the stops on all sides. Price came up, took the stops here, took it there, and then took the stops here again. The sell stops below the market, and we rallied right back up on Friday just to fall off again. And now we're just kind of sitting right in the middle of this range. So we could definitely see another shot higher on crude oil to take out these highs here. Maybe even to get back above these highs here. We'll have to wait and see if that one happens. But I'm definitely looking at lower prices on crude oil. And I think this week, we do have crude oil numbers coming out on Thursday this week. But I think it's probably going to continue lower. You know, again, we may see prices pop up into here. We could get a little bit of a reaction down in here, into this range here. And then we may see something like this. But I think it would be short-lived. Basically, all of the runs higher, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking they're short-lived. And, you know, for the most part, that's been true. We had price run up into here, pretty short-lived, right back down the next day, and then went sideways. And we had price run up into here, pretty short-lived, and then ran right back down to the middle of that range. And then we had a really weak 2-day run up in here, and price has just been going straight sideways for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 days. So for the past week plus, it's been going sideways. So there's really not a whole lot to talk about here. Definitely hitting some resistance up in these levels. But again, keep in mind, we do have two relatively equal highs up there. So they could do a very, very quick repricing up into here, only to drop price and sink it and get everybody offside. So just be careful on crude oil. Until it starts breaking out of this range a little bit, I don't want to offer too much directional bias on it, other than I believe we're going to be lower under here before the end of the year. Okay. And finally, gold. Obviously, we have them running back lower. Anything below this green line in gold, I think we're going to be targeting these lows here. If we see a difference of opinion, though, in the US dollar wanting to go higher to those equal highs up here, if they don't want to do that and price falls over, then basically anything above this line here, I'd be bullish, and we could target up into here on gold. Okay, that's really that simple. So take a look at your gold chart. This is the daily. Pull this up, put the same levels on your chart, and just know anything above I think we're probably going to draw lower this week again, in tandem with what the US dollar is doing, going higher. I believe gold is going to go lower, and we'll probably trade back down to the 1435 level at the very least. Don't worry about these numbers. Worry about the 1435. I think that's going to be the draw on price this week. Just took out this low here and this low here. We have two equal lows there. So again, I wouldn't be surprised though if we had this happen on gold and they shot price up into here, just again to fall off. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. Does it need to do this little retracement? Absolutely not. We could certainly just fall off completely. I would like to see them rebalance that range, but you know, again, gold, it's sort of its own animal, and it likes to do what it likes to do. We've been in a deep consolidation, while the US dollar has been relatively moving. So just bear that in mind, you know, and price could just snap back up in here and just stay back in this consolidation range too. That's the other option as well. So if they don't want to go lower. So okay, that's about it. I apologize for being so long on this weekly review, but I had a few things to discuss, and I hope you guys have a great week of trading. Again, if you want any more information about what our members will receive, which is live daily reviews, up-to-date charts, buy and sell levels, and everything else in between, go ahead and check out f45trading.com, or send me an email and I can let you know what that's all about. For all of our members, I will talk to you guys in the charts tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.